gave over that love of his son, which was overflowing at that time, to demonstrate his love for Hashem. That was something that I saw when my husband said Shema that time. And even before that, I mean, just to see my husband wrapped in a tallis and tefillin, saying Shema, it went beyond words. It was an example that showed everybody that, you know, all the things we learned in Shema. I don't think it was your class that I learned Shema with. It was one of the other classes. We learned the Mefarshim on Shema. We learned Rashi. V'yahavta es Hashem Elokecha, she'yeh shem shemayim esahiv al yadcha. That Hashem's name. Should be beloved. And how everybody knew when they saw my husband that he was a man of God. How all the doctors, when I would ask them questions about my husband's care, and they looked at me, they said, Mrs. Simes, only God knows when it comes to your husband. We can't explain anything. He made a Kiddush Hashem wherever he went, and everybody knew that he was a person who defied all the odds. It made no sense. He shouldn't have been alive anymore. He should have died at the accident. So Shema, v'yahavta es Hashem Elokecha. People love Hashem because of him. People recognize Jews because of him. They said they had never seen a man like him before. They had never treated a person like that before. And then you learn b'chol nafshecha, b'chol be'odecha, b'chol mida sh'Hashem odei lecha, with every measure that Hashem gives you. And we had good times in the last 6.5 years, but it was hard. It was very hard. And somehow, you know, to the outside world, maybe he made it look easy. But you have no idea what it took to get out of bed in the morning. And how long it took to get him out of bed in the morning and to get ready for the day. But he always had a smile on his face. Always. No matter how much pain he was in, no matter how many times he worked so hard to get everything back, and then he would get sick again and not be able to do the things that he had finally learned how to do. And one time I asked him, I said, when are you going to give up? And he said to me, never. I will never give up. I'm always going to keep on fighting. And his desire to be an Eved Hashem, from the minute of the accident, he was crying. He said, I went to yeshiva all my life. I got smicha. I learned from my rebbeim to teach Torah to other people. What am I going to do now? How am I going to serve Hashem now? And I think that we can say that he taught people more in the 6.5 years after the accident than before. To see what it means to get hit in the head and keep on going. To get hit in the head and to have no complaints. He never asked why. He was never angry. All he said is, what can I do now? How do I serve Hashem now? And his Mesiras Nefesh was beyond. And I think if that's the message that his life stood for, then we can all learn from him. To just be the best we can. And when we think we're being the best we can push ourselves and still do more. And just that people, when they see us, should recognize that we are children of Hashem. And we don't follow the rules. We don't follow statistics. When you're on Hashem's side, Hashem looks out for you. Hashem takes care of you. And we really feel that. Even though Hashem put us in treacherous waters, it was choppy, but Hashem gave us an oar to grab onto and to hold onto and to paddle. And sometimes we were paddling upstream. We were going the wrong way. We were definitely going the wrong way, but we got there. And there were times when every obstacle was put in our way. You know, you think it's so easy. Somebody can't walk, so you go to the store, you buy a wheelchair. Somebody can't walk, so you go to the store and you get a car. Somebody can't eat, so you go to the store and you buy a feeding tube. Every single step of the way was obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And I said to the therapist, I don't understand. Is my husband, the first person to need a wheelchair? Is he the only person who's paralyzed? Is the only person that needs this activity or this therapy or this? And she said, Shaindel, I've never seen anything like it. I have lots of patients. I've been a therapist for years, decades. And sometimes, it's hard to find the right piece of equipment. Sometimes it's hard to find the wheelchair. But then we get everything else. Or sometimes it's hard to get the right headrest to make sure that he's not in pain. But we get everything else. Said I have never seen, like down to every screw, every nut, and every bolt. Everything was a fight, like we were reinventing the wheel. And I think the reason is because we know that the greater the job is, the greater the mitzvah is, the harder the Yetzer Hara works to prevent it from happening. And the Yetzer Hara deserves a vacation now, I'll tell you that. He worked on non-stop for 6.5 years. We said he worked overtime. He didn't leave our door. He was living in our house. I don't know about anybody else, but I know he was right here. Putting up obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, blockade after blockade after blockade. And some days it was very hard. But he never buckled, never stopped. And that, I think, is the message. When you feel like obstacles are coming your way, to know how important it is what you're doing, and to strengthen yourself. And know that Hashem is with you. And I don't understand. I can try to understand what happened. But all I know is that we've learned in the Sfarim that we don't know what schar is like, what kind of reward we get in Olam Haba. But the Chazal tell us that even without getting to Olam Haba, even if you just get a whiff, like if you go to Starbucks and you don't even go in the building, but you walk by Starbucks, you know you're in Starbucks because it has that delicious smell. So too Olam Haba, just that schar and that joy that is for the neshama, to have that whiff of Olam Haba and the whiff of the schar is beyond something we can imagine. So for someone who worked and struggled for 6.5 years, it's mind-boggling. I can't even process the schar that he's going to get. And to know that he is with Hashem. And I dare say he's up there on Kisi HaKavod. Hashem is hugging him and taking care of him and telling him, you did a better job than I thought you could do. And that's a nechama for us. To know the legacy that he left for us. And to know that Hashem knows everything. And Hashem is the only one who could reward him to the extent of making it all worth it. And thank you for coming. His teaching was his life. And that's all he wanted to do. And I would come home from school and tell him what I taught in class and share with him different things that we learned or how to teach something or different things that went on. And even though he couldn't be in the classroom himself, I think the world became his stage. He had a much bigger classroom than he ever had before. And we'll miss him, but I think if we remember what he stood for and think about that, then it gives us just strength to go on and to realize what really is important and what really matters. You know, sometimes we make a big deal out of things that we think are important. And we're right. You know, different stages of our life, things are important, and we have to be normal and we have to be regular. But as long as your eye is on the big picture, then not to get absorbed in the little things. My husband used to say when the accident first happened, he used to say, walking is overrated. Like, you know, you walk, you don't walk, you could still do things. And then he became more and more incapacitated. And he said, oh, the whole body is overrated. You know, the body is a case for a neshama. And as long as our body, we use our body for our neshama, then that's what it's for. I think we were a witness to a neshama in a body. I think by the end, we realized that there was something in there that we would never understand. And we all have that ability to rise and to shine. And you never know what life brings and what's going to come your way and how you're going to manage. But one foot in front of the other. Let that neshama shine.